Good afternoon and welcome to the dedication of the Humanities and Social Sciences building here on the campus of Arkansas State University. I'm Lynn Fry, I'm the Vice Chancellor for Finance and Administration, and I have administrative responsibilities for the Facilities Management Division. Over the next several minutes, our speakers will say thank you to many individuals and groups who have made this day of celebration possible. But before I bring up those speakers, I want to take a moment to recognize some of the distinguished guests who are in the audience. I'd like to start with our United States Senator John Boozman. John. Senator Boozman is joined by two members of his staff, Chris Caldwell and Nathan Davis. Thank you for being here. We have a number of state officials, elected officials with us today, and I would ask you to stand as I call your name. Senator John Cooper. Representative Dan Sullivan. Representative Brant Smith. Representative James Sturch. The governor's office is represented today by Doug Smith. Doug? We have, I noticed, I think I saw Mayor Harold Perrin locally. Mayor? Andrea Allen is representing Congressman Crawford's office. Jeff Morris with Senator Cotton's office. I see Circuit Judge Tommy Fowler's in the room somewhere. Tommy? Thank you. And we have with us today Miss Gail Nichols. Gail is the widow of former Representative Wayne Nichols. Miss Nichols? I know you're there. I especially want to recognize one former state representative, Shane Broadway, who was House Speaker, and he was instrumental in securing the initial state funding for this building back in the early 2000s. Shane went on to become Director of the Department of Higher Education, and today he serves as Vice President for University Relations for the ASU system. We're very fortunate to have Shane on our team. We're here today, obviously, to celebrate more than this physical structure in which we're now standing. The importance of this structure to the academic mission and the fabric and core of Arkansas State University will be addressed by others. But at this time, I would like to recognize key members of the building and construction team. These are the people that wore hard hats sometimes over the last 17 years and were instrumental in bringing this vision to the reality that we see today. The architectural services for the building were provided by AMR Architects, and Rick Redden, who was the principal designer, lost his battle to cancer right after the final funding for this building was announced. I know he will be forever remembered for his passion, his dedication for this project, and his legacy lives on in the form of this beautiful building. After Rick's passing, Frank Barksdale assumed his role as firm director. Kate East served as the interior designer, and Jamie Borg was the project manager for AMR. Let's give them a round of applause. And I know some of those are in the room, so just raise your hand when I say your name. Pettit and Pettit Engineering were responsible for the mechanical and electrical systems. Individuals that we'd like to call out: Don Huggins, Rick Sellers, and Tony Aycock. Frank Allison was the engineering consultant, Martin Smith, the landscape architect, and we should recognize them too. And finally, those responsible for actually erecting the building, that was Tate Contractors. Wayne Tate, who is retired, Galen Tate, Keith Chun, who's the project manager, and Roger Reeder, who I know everyone who has officed in this building has met on many of occasions now. Please raise your hands and we'd recognize you. Finally, we want to recognize the ASU team that oversees all of the construction projects on the campus. This was a labor of love that has involved many key individuals over, again, the last 17 years. Terry Carty was the project manager when this started in the early 2000s. David Handwerk, who is now our interim assistant vice chancellor for facilities, took over for Terry. And then others that played a very important role, David Hackenworth, Randy Wallace retired, and Bill Hall. And the one person who holds all this together, I know David would say, would be Janice Cook. She's the one who's been here through thick and thin and made everything work. As other speakers come to the podium, they'll recognize other individuals without whom this project would not have been possible. But one such individual is our next speaker that I'll bring up. In one of my earliest meetings with then new A-State Chancellor Tim Hudson, he informed me that securing funding to complete this building was his top priority. He acknowledged that we had a number of important initiatives to accomplish in the budget process, but none were more important to him than completing this project to bring it to fruition. In effect, he told me to get my team, get in a room, roll up our sleeves, and not come out until we had a solution. So with the help of Donna McMillan and the budget office, we came away with a contingency plan that Chancellor Hudson took to the president, who took to the board, and we were able to secure the bonding necessary to finish the building. Without Chancellor Hudson's direction and encouragement, the building really would not have been possible. Chancellor.
Thank you, Lynn, and good afternoon, everyone. I'd like to take a moment to acknowledge our wonderful entry music and the musicians that provided it. Thank you very much. They're gone. I'm a little nervous, though, because right after the music stopped, Lynn came up here, and maybe he thinks that's going to be his intro from now on. But well, how about this building? It's just absolutely stunning. And what a wonderful addition to the landscape of Arkansas State University. You know, I've had an opportunity to visit many campuses during my career, either working on those campuses or doing some sort of accreditation visit, some sort of vetting visit. Recently had a chance to visit universities who were interested in joining the Sun Belt Conference. I spent my share of time in campuses around the world. But I have to honestly say I have never seen such a beautiful, beautifully situated, well-crafted, handsome building on any college campus anywhere. And I think we should give everyone involved a round of applause. I think about what it means to be a teacher. I think about what it means to be a learner, what it means to be a student, a seeker, someone interested in information, contemplation, reflection, debate, discourse. What a perfect venue for all of that to happen. And I know all of that will happen here, and memories will be formed in this space. And I know because I come in here in the morning and there's a lot of chatter going on because there's a wonderful bagel shop right there, in addition to all the teaching and learning spaces in this building. I'm reminded of a quip attributed to the scientist Arthur Clarke, that at the very highest level, there is little to distinguish between science and magic. I would say about this building and the topophilia that it evokes, there is little to distinguish between art and engineering, between style and functionality. In fact, the only thing I think can improve this building is that one day it will carry the name of someone who shares our principles, an alum, someone dedicated to what Arkansas State University is all about. Do you know anybody out there that wants to put their name on this magnificent building? Let us know. I'm sure Jason Penry is working on it even as I speak. Well, the long narrative of this building, and as Lynn said, it took several years to complete, has many protagonists and many authors, and we want to thank many of those people here today. First, I want to recognize and thank my predecessor who had the vision for what could be accomplished and who set us on this journey in the first place, Dr. Les Wyatt. Dr. Wyatt. I believe your wife, Jeannie, is with us today. Your wife is with us today, Jeannie. Please stand up and let us recognize you as well. Without his vision and pluck and persistence, and I'm sure ignoring a lot of people who were doubters and said this could never be done, we wouldn't be on this journey. So we appreciate your vision and your work. I also want to thank President Welch and the current trustees and all former trustees who kept this dream alive through several board meetings and sessions, and certainly being pulled in many directions for many good causes. We prosper here under the direction and strategic leadership of a very engaged board of trustees, many of them appointed by our alum that we're very proud of, and former Governor Mike Beebe, who you will hear from later. I can tell you for certain, without Governor Beebe's interest in Arkansas State being absolutely second to none, and his investment in this process, we would not be here today. So I will recognize Governor Beebe. Governor. Of course, without the vibrant programs that grew and developed, and they continue to do so, and needed more space, there would have been no need for such a building. So I want to fully acknowledge and recognize the absolutely linchpin role played by our faculty in creating this continuous stream of success. Without that, we wouldn't need such a building. We wouldn't need spaces. The faculty are absolutely fundamental to this process. They continue to create vibrant academic programs that make a difference for our students. So if you're a member of the Arkansas State University faculty, please raise your hand and let us recognize you. Of course, all of this is to the benefit of our students, and we're going to hear from a student representative later. Now, Winston Churchill once said, "We shape our buildings, thereafter they shape us." I know I speak for many people when I say I am very excited about how this space and this building will shape the future of Arkansas State University. Again, thank you for being here this afternoon. And because the very core of what we do is about our academic mission, I now want to call on our Chief Academic Officer, our Provost, Dr. Lenita Cooksey.
Well, it's hard for me to believe that after almost 2 decades, we are to where we are today. I was in on the early phases of the planning of this building and made some trips to some other campuses to see what their humanities and social sciences buildings looked like, and that was part of starting the dream, and that's been almost 2 decades ago. General Colin Powell said that a dream doesn't become a reality through magic. It takes sweat, determination, and hard work. And I think that we can all agree that that certainly applies to the many individuals who've had their minds, their hearts, and their hands in the dream throughout the conceptualization, the construction, and the realization of this extraordinary structure. And we are, as Dr. Hudson and Dr. Fry said, we are eternally grateful for the vision, and I'm grateful for the tenacity that got us to where we are today. I'd like to thank the Faculty Senate for being here today. This is their normal meeting time, and I asked them if they would give up some of their meeting time today to be with us, because I think it's only appropriate that the governing body of our faculty is here for the dedication of this wonderful building. And so Faculty Senate and other members of our faculty, particularly our faculty of the Humanities and Social Sciences, as well as other academic faculty and staff, thank you so much for being here. I think that we all are excited and share in this great moment for our campus. Well, as I look back, I think there were at least 5 deans. Now I have a 6th dean, which would be our newest dean, interim dean, Brad Rollins, for the College of Humanities and Social Sciences, and also their associate deans that had their hands in the development of this building. More recently, as the building really began to start taking shape, there was one individual who pored over the details of what were the classrooms going to be like. What should the furnishings be? What technology equipment do we need to have a state-of-the-art building? What are the office assignments? Who's going to go where? But most importantly, this individual had to convince 100+ faculty that there is life after Wilson Hall. And from all that I can see, there is life after Wilson Hall. And Wilson Hall will go ahead and become something that will bring yet more recognition to our university in the months ahead. But from what I can tell from the faculty that have moved into this building about midsummer up until the start of the fall semester, that this is home. I think that they have found that this is now home and that it is far greater and far more remarkable than they could have ever imagined. So Debbie Chappell-Traylor, you are the person who has made all of these decisions that have been big decisions, and some of them have seemed small, but they're really big, that have made the details of this particular building and how it welcomes our students and welcomes our faculty and welcomes our community. So would you please stand and be recognized? Dr. Chappell-Traylor serves as the Associate Dean for the College of Humanities and Social Sciences, and she has been the common thread throughout this process through various deans that have gone on to do other things. And so, Debbie, we do really appreciate what you've done to keep us on track and hold us together and get us where we are today. This new Humanities and Social Sciences building is more than just classrooms and offices. It's a supportive place that encourages faculty to do what they do best: teach, mentor, and promote scholarship. It provides comfortable spaces both in and outside the classroom for faculty and students to engage in significant learning opportunities. The new facility is perhaps the most impactful academic building on our campus, as it is the building through which most every undergraduate student will pass as they complete the foundational core curriculum that is central to all of our undergraduate degrees. It is here that thousands of students will grow intellectually and personally and prepare for productive futures for years to come. And I think there is no one who can say it better about what this building means to the educational process here at Arkansas State than a student who has spent most of his career in Wilson Hall, but who is now a graduate student who will finish up his career in this new facility. So it is my pleasure to introduce Bryant Moy, who is a graduate student in the Political Science Department, and he will bring remarks on behalf of the students. Bryant?
Good afternoon. It's an honor to be standing here before you today in dedication of our new Humanities and Social Science building. As someone who's received a bachelor's degree here and is currently working on a master's degree, I have seen this campus expand and transform our young minds to become active participants in global societies. When I started a bachelor's degree here in 2010, I took most of my classes in Wilson Hall. I was a young, hopeful political science major. The experiences I had in that building will last with me until the day I die. Whether that was learning from my professors, fellow students, and friends, to spending late nights writing research papers and practicing for moot court competitions. During my first semester, I took an Intro to U.S. government course. My professor would always say that Wilson Hall was the center, the heart of campus. Now, at that time, like most freshmen, I had no idea what he was talking about. Wilson Hall wasn't necessarily bad, but like most students, we had no idea we would ever be able to take classes in this new building. It was an urban myth, a legend, a dream. Those words from an eccentric professor finally sunk into me. The College of Humanities and Social Sciences encompasses every aspect of life and human behavior. I am honored and proud to continue my studies here at A-State because I know the value of being educated in the political science department and how they have equipped me to want to pursue a PhD in political science. I am honored to be able to say I am a part of the last generation of students that have taken social science classes, both in Wilson Hall and this new building. The new facilities is a mark of a university growing. The open atmosphere will facilitate learning and open societal thinking. Thank you for offering me a solid education. With the expansion of our new facilities, you are opening the door to so many more students. As the statement says in the 1989 movie, Field of Dreams, if they build it, they will come. College of Humanities and Social Sciences, you have built it, now they will come. It's time for new experiences with my fellow students, professors, and friends. More learning, more discussion, all in this open atmosphere. Thank you for allowing me to share my thoughts on dedicating this building, and welcome to the new intellectual heart of the campus, the Humanities and Social Science Building.
Thank you, Brian. Those were very inspiring words from a student who certainly knows from where you came to where you have come. And it's really a nice building. Our next speaker really needs no introduction and almost didn't get one because I hadn't planned to come back up and introduce him. But our next speaker is Dr. Chuck Welch. Dr. Welch is one of the most dynamic, engaging, certainly presidents of any university system anywhere in the United States of America. We're very fortunate to have him here at Arkansas State. And with that, I'd like to bring him to the podium.
Thank you. We were laughing because my chairman said, who the heck is he talking about? But Lynn, I want to thank you for introducing me so that you were between me and Brandon, because I did not want to have to follow him after that excellent speech. Thank you for that. Good afternoon. What a wonderful day. And as I was sitting here staring up at this beautiful building and looking around, I came to the realization that this has been a long time in the making for a variety of reasons. In fact, one of the things that occurred to me was probably about where I was sitting. The last time I was in this spot, I was being pulled over by one of Jonesboro's finest for driving a little too quickly down Caraway Road. And we all remember when Dr. Wyatt and others made the decision to close Caraway Road and close Aggie Road. For those of us who've been around for a while, that was not without controversy, but I think today we see why those were the right decisions and how it has impacted the feel, the look, and the atmosphere of this entire university campus. We've talked about Dr. Wyatt, and I'll mention him a little bit more in a few moments, but I also realized today that regardless of when this building started or when this building was first thought of or who was in the president's office, we would have never gotten here and have even gotten there without those who have led this campus since its inception in 1909. And one of those people who has as much to do with us standing here right now as anyone in this room is Dr. Eugene Smith. Would you please raise your hand there, Dr. Smith? I dare say no one living loves this university any more than Eugene and Ann Smith do, and I knew they wouldn't miss this, just as they still don't miss any of the football games. And his leadership and his vision helped get us here. But I don't think there's any question that one individual who had the vision for not only this particular facility, but really the entire master plan of this campus was Les Wyatt. Les truly was a visionary when it came to foreseeing where we needed to go and what we wanted this campus to be like. I remember several years ago when I was president of another university and that team was playing ASU in basketball, Les invited me up to the game, and my wife and I came, and the next morning he said, I want to get y'all in the car and just drive you around and show you around a little bit. Now, I didn't realize that was a recruiting session that Les was engaging in that day, but you could tell that day how much passion he had for this project, how much passion he had for the student union and the other wonderful developments that occurred under his watch and all the changes. But Dr. Hudson said it, there is no facility like this in the state of Arkansas and very few in the United States. A chance where every student, essentially, that will ever attend this institution will walk through these halls and have a chance to learn. And for us to have this type of facility in this location, we would not have without Les Wyatt. Could y'all please give him another round of applause? Les, we appreciate you being here today and really, truly thank you. We know it couldn't have happened without you. And we had lots of people who helped us from a financing situation. We mentioned our board, who was so wonderful to work with in finishing off this project, but also our elected officials who helped us through getting money to help put towards this project. You know, higher education has no dedicated capital funding source. And so it really is truly money that comes from the support of those who believe in this university and believe in what we're doing. And we were very fortunate to have a number of state representatives and state senators who were very generous with their general improvement funding and other ways to help us. And then we had Governor Beebe, who I actually started on this when he was still in the state Senate and was very supportive. Now, I got summons to his office shortly after I came to ASU, and for those of you who've received that invitation, it's not to go have tea and talk about how nice the weather is typically, but rather it was, when are you going to get the Humanities building built? They're still sitting out there, I want it done. And then he began chewing on me a little bit about the cost estimates, and he started quoting the cost estimates that he understood, and why was it so much more than the cost he had been given. And I said, Governor, with all respect, the cost estimate that you are talking about is from 1998. This is 2013. And he said, no, there's no way it's that long. And I said, yes, sir, it is. And as we talked through it, we realized this really had been something that we had been working on for more than a decade. And he looked at me that day and he said, then it's time to get it done. We're going to get this done. Ultimately, through the support of Governor Beebe and through the support of our other elected officials, we received over $21 million in general improvement funding for the construction of this facility. That is, we believe, more money from general improvement funding for one project, whether it be higher education or any other entity of state government, ever in the history of the state of Arkansas. And we should be very proud of that and thankful to Mike Beebe and also to our elected officials. Let's give them a round of applause. This building is a symbol of not only where our university is today, but where this university is going. We are not afraid to push the envelope, we are not afraid to think big, and we are not afraid to do what others say cannot be done. And this is proof positive that we did it. But we didn't do it alone. And without further ado, let me introduce that individual who helped us receive that $21 million, our former governor, our former trustee, and certainly one of our proudest ASU alums, Mike Beebe.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Lynn, how many more people are going to have to talk? This program's going to last about as long as it did to build this building. I'm sitting here thinking about so many things that have occurred over the course of my association with this university. you students won't even be able to truly appreciate what 1964 looked like, but that's when I first stepped foot on the campus. And the changes that have occurred, not just structural changes, not just the infrastructure that exists, but the growth and the expansion of the most important part of any university, and that's her people. Her people, whether they be students or faculty or staff, the people that really are housed in these buildings that create an environment that allows the growth and development of lives that change the world. I've dedicated a bunch of things on this campus, either in the capacity as a trustee or in the capacity as a state senator. I don't think I ever did anything as an attorney general. Probably kept some of you out of jail. And then certainly as governor. And every time I'm struck by the fact that I'm back here celebrating some new activity when indeed I wouldn't be celebrating the activities or even be in a position to talk about it if it weren't for this university. I got a little bit emotional one day, I think when we were doing the library. You know, Bill Clinton takes credit for a lot of stuff he didn't have a dang thing to do with. That's prerogative of being a governor, which reminds me of a story. You know, Dale Bumpers and David Pryor were best friends, and David succeeded Dale in the governor's office when Dale finished his 4-year term and was going to the United States Senate. And so David had just won the governor's race to take Dale's place, and he went on a vacation. And while he was in the midst of his vacation, his staff called him and said, "David, you got to get back here. In the last few days of Bumper's administration, Dale's spending all the dang money. You're not going to have any money left." And David likes to tell that story that Bumper spent all his money. And Bumpers will come back and say, "Yeah, and David put his name on every building I spent all that money for." What has really been pointed out here is this has been a group effort. No one individual did it. There are state senators and state representatives here and who are no longer here who contributed significantly over the course of, 17 years. In the state, we never quite had enough money to be able to do the things you want to do. And under our Constitution, we don't go bond stuff without a vote of the people. So, I mean, I know universities can bond stuff, but the state doesn't go do that without some pretty significant activity. And so we had to piecemeal the money. And you get $2 million this year and $4 million that year and $4 million the next year. And it was never enough to be able to do it all. And with all due respect to you architects and engineers that are out there that help plan this, y'all sucked up a lot of the first part of the money just planning this stuff. And so, I mean, we'd give $2 or $3 million and there wouldn't be a brick laid or a stone turned, and I'd say, "Where'd the money go?" And they'd say, "It went to the architects and to the engineers." They hadn't done anything. But you can't do it without them, and they deserve the recognition that they have received. But it really got bad, Les, after some significant period of time, and then Chuck has talked about it, when everybody was calling and saying, "Y'all spent all that money and all you got's a bunch of ugly, rusty steel sticking up out of the ground." And I don't know how many years that steel stood out of the ground. But that was the only way we could get it done. And it was the fiduciary responsibility of the leadership in this university that did a great job. The boards and the previous boards, the presidents, both past and present, who didn't squander that money, who didn't waste that money, who didn't find, although there were many other needs, a place to stick that money. They kept it and reserved it and let it grow and used it for the purpose for which it was appropriated and funded. And that was ultimately in this building. I'm a product of this college, major in political science and minor in history. I will tell you, I never was asked as a student to make a speech to the president and the faculty and all that stuff. In fact, I was never asked as a student to any events involving the president. But there are a lot of people in this room who know what I'm talking about when I say you wouldn't be where you are if it wasn't for this place. You wouldn't have your chance at life if it wasn't for this university. These board members that are up here, many of whom I actually went to school with, some of whom I wondered whether they were going to get a degree or a striped suit down at Cummins, all can say that their chance in life, their chance at the American dream was greatly enhanced, if not totally the responsibility of the result of an education they received at this university. I can tell you, I can say that. I have, in the course of 32 years of public life, but particularly 8 years as governor, given, as you can imagine, countless speeches. And whenever I talk about what is so dear to me, which is education, I talk about the fact that all of the things that I've been fortunate to receive, including a law firm that allowed me to keep Ginger in the lifestyle to which she wanted to become accustomed, including 20 years in the Senate and 4 as AG and 8 years in the highest office our state has to offer, is a result of a mother who didn't have a high school education. Was a waitress, Dr. Smith, you remember, down at Grandpa's and down at Jack's, waited tables, and an education. And the tip of that education spear has always been higher education. And for me, that higher education commenced and was most formulated at ASU. And so, every time I get a chance to watch this place grow internally and externally, I am filled with some pride, but also with a recognition that there will be generations that follow that could stand where I stand now and make the same remarks because of this place.
Thank you, Governor. Now, I was asked to remind you that the Political Science Department has reserved an office for you upstairs. Is that right, Dr. McLean? You got him up there? Anytime. Thank you. He said thank you, but no thanks right now. Well, I'm going to close this part of the ceremony, and then we will cut a ribbon by reading a letter from Governor Asa Hutchinson, who couldn't join us today, but he wanted to acknowledge what's happening here on our campus. Dear Dr. Welch and Dr. Hudson, on behalf of the great state of Arkansas, I'm pleased to welcome all of those gathered in Jonesboro for the dedication of the Humanities and Social Sciences building. This new building will serve as a flagship representing Arkansas State University's leadership and contributions in higher education. It is my hope that this new facility will serve as a place for students to explore the world of ideas and service. Since its founding, Arkansas State University has played an important role in providing quality education for students from Arkansas and around the world. I am excited by the growth at Arkansas State University and look forward to seeing its future contributions to our state. I would like to wish Arkansas State University all the best as you continue to provide leadership in higher education in our state. Sincerely, Asa Hutchinson. And we appreciate that letter.